Hello everyone, this is Jeff at the Deliberate Creator Academy. Welcome back. This story of how I manifested a day off from work so I could go skiing with my buddy is fairly magical and poignantly illustrates a number of things about how we manifest our desires via the law of attraction. So a few weeks ago, a very good friend of mine that I get to see very rarely but whose company I enjoy immensely invited me to go backcountry skiing with him on the upcoming Saturday. I really wanted to join him, but I had to tell him that I couldn't because I had to work. I recently started driving for Uber on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I was pretty frustrated that I couldn't join my friend because I really enjoyed his company. And I don't get to ski with friends very often, and I really love skiing. In fact, I hadn't seen him for most of the winter, which made it even more enticing to have the opportunity to go skiing with him. But I didn't really want to take a day off because I really wanted to make my weekly income goal. Yet, still, I really wanted to join him. So I was in a bit of a conundrum. So as I often do, I shouted out to the universe and I said something like this. I would really love to be able to go skiing with my friend. How can I get to go skiing with my friend and still make my weekly income goal? Is there a way? Framing your desire as a question, like I just did, is a powerful best practice of deliberate creation, which I use routinely now. Use this approach when you have a desire, but how you're going to achieve the fulfillment of that desire is unclear. I won't get into the reasons why this is a powerful technique, but if you want to learn more about it, check out Best Practice, Framing Your Desire as a Question, which I've included a link to in the notes section below this story on the Deliberate Creator Academy website. Thankfully, my friend didn't give up on me because the very next week he invited me to go skiing with him again. This time it was on the upcoming Friday. Of course, again I had to say, no, I'm sorry, but I can't. I've got to work on Friday. Fridays is one of my busiest days, so it's a crucial one that I don't miss. So now I was even more frustrated. How was I ever going to get to go skiing with my friend if he's only available on the weekends and I work on the weekends? I could certainly take any day of the week off that I like. I mean, that's the flexibility of driving for Uber, but the weekend is by far the busiest time, so it's the quickest and easiest strategy to make a weekly salary and still have plenty of time to work on my other projects. But yet I still desperately wanted to be able to join him. So again, I voiced out loud to the universe, I'd really like to go skiing with my friend. How can I go skiing with my friend and still make my weekly earnings goal? So Friday arrives and I'm doing a long day of Uber driving, presumably while my friend is having fun skiing. And what's interesting is that it's turning out to be the busiest day of Uber driving I've ever experienced. I was making far more money than usual. So much so, if I kept this pace up on Saturday, I might make my earnings goal in 2 days rather than the usual 3, which would leave my Sunday free for working on my other projects or maybe even getting outside for some recreation, which got me really excited. I wasn't thinking about the possibility of skiing with my friend because I assumed that if he had skied on Friday, he probably wouldn't be doing it again on Sunday. When I finished my day of Uber driving on Friday, 12 long hours, I was pretty tired but quite pleased because I had just made more money in a single day than I had ever before. This made me very excited because there was a definite possibility that I might reach my goal, my weekly earnings goal, by the end of Saturday, and then I'd have Sunday free. So I was delighted when Saturday also began unfolding as a very, very busy day. As Saturday's driving progressed, the fares were piling up, and it really looked like I might do it. I might reach my earnings goal and be done driving by the end of Saturday, one whole day early. But after about 8 hours on the road, I realized I was extremely tired, and I decided not to kill myself and that I'd go home early and get some rest. So after I had finished the current Uber drive request, which happened to be a food delivery, my intention was to go home early. But after completing the delivery, I took a quick look at how close I was to making my weekly earnings goal, and I was tantalizingly close. But it looked like it would still take one or two very large fares to put me over the top, and so I decided to stick to my plans of quitting for the day. But that intention didn't last for very long, because in literally less than 10 seconds after starting to head home, my Uber driver app emitted a loud ding, indicating that another ride was available. And when I looked at it, I gasped in surprise and then muttered to myself, "Holy moly, that's a really long ride. That's going to be a really big fare." And because I've trained myself to pay attention to what's arriving and to seize the opportunities that my thoughts and desires are attracting, I realized that I might just be manifesting the big rides that I needed to reach my goal. So I decided to trust my intuition and seize the opportunity, and I accepted the ride. And curiously, the ride pickup, where I was going to pick up the rider, was way out past the local ski area, not far from where my friend had invited me to go backcountry skiing the past 2 times he invited me. So I started heading out towards the pickup, and after traveling no more than a quarter of a mile, guess whose house I'm about to pass by? Yeah, my ski buddy's house. My friend who had been trying to get me out to go skiing with him. And guess who is standing in the driveway next to his car? Yep, my buddy, the very same one I was desiring to go skiing with. Now there's another curious coincidence. So of course, I decided to stop and say hello. And guess what he tells me partway through our short chat? He tells me he's planning on skiing again tomorrow. Another unexpected curious coincidence, because I unexpectedly might be available tomorrow. Needless to say, a big grin appeared on my face, but all I said was, "Oh, really?" I didn't say more because I was distracted by the fare and I was very tired. In any case, since it looked like he was about to go somewhere in his car, I asked him where he was going. And guess where my friend was about to head out to? Pretty much the exact same place as I was going. I was going to pick up somebody at their home just past the ski area, and my buddy was driving to his new home under construction just past the ski area. The very same house whose backyard is the starting point of the backcountry ski trips he's been inviting me on. Are you seeing the significance of all these curious coincidences? There are no random coincidences. You are attracting everything that appears in your reality, not only by your choices and actions, but also by your desires, beliefs, expectations, and most predominant thoughts as well. Absolutely, without exception. And guess what the most obvious sign that you are coherently creating your reality is? It's all those curious coincidences, what has been called synchronicity, because they seem meaningful rather than random. If you pay close attention to the thoughts and desires you're having, as well as to what is showing up in your life, you're going to start to realize those curious coincidences aren't random at all. You're going to realize that they are correlated with your very own thoughts and desires. If you'd like to explore the topic of synchronicity further, I highly recommend the book Synchronicity, The Art of Coincidence. In this book, the author examines the scientific evidence that the human mind can influence events and teaches you how to do it. The book merges the worlds of modern physics and ancient mysticism to reveal how your thoughts and desires affect what appears in your reality. So back to the final part of the story, because it's not quite over yet. After completing that Uber trip, I was excruciatingly close to reaching my earnings goal, but not quite there. But I didn't have more than a few seconds to ponder that thought when, ding! Another Uber ride request comes in for me to consider. I take a quick look at the trip details, and it reveals that this fare is going to be huge. So of course I took it, even though I was dead tired, because I was on a roll and it looked like I was going to manifest the best possible outcome. And of course, after completing that fare, I was well above my goal and headed home, tired, but with a big shit-eating grin on my face. So lucky me, I was done in 2 days of driving rather than the usual 3, and I had been graced with a series of unexpected events that conveniently set me up to go skiing with my buddy the very next day. A perfectly wonderful solution to the question I asked before the whole thing started, before the whole thing went down. How can I ski with my buddy and make my weekly earnings goal too? And a solution that I probably could have never imagined. 2 of the largest fares I've ever made, in the top 5 percentile of the largest fares I've ever made, back to back, just when I needed them? Sheer luck or pure manifestation? If this was a one-of-a-kind experience, I might agree with the sheer luck conjecture, but it's not. I get lucky very frequently, far more than can be explained by chance alone. And of course, it isn't luck. I am coherently creating my reality with my very own desires and thoughts and more, without a doubt. And so can you. All you have to do is learn the principles and practices of deliberate creation and practice applying them until you master it. And of course, that is what the Deliberate Creator Academy is all about. But back to the story, which isn't quite finished yet. Believe it or not, I was more than halfway home after that long day of Ubering on Saturday before I realized that I could go skiing with my buddy the next day. I had been so busy and distracted by the driving that I almost forgot completely about it. So I immediately sent him a text message and said, "Hey, you want some company tomorrow? I'm available." And he immediately responded with, "Hell yeah, how about we start relatively late, say, meet me at 10 a.m. at my place." I was very relieved to hear that he wanted to do a late start because I was nearly exhausted from 2 long days of Uber driving. Just another thing that fell perfectly into place for me. Are you guys seeing the magic and perfection of all this? This is classic creation and co-creation at its finest. Be aware that all manifestation is to some degree co-creation. After all, this is not a single-player game. It's a multiplayer game. It wasn't just my strong desire and focus of thought that brought about this delightful turn of events. My friend's strong desire to go skiing and to have good company was equally instrumental in bringing about the outcome we manifested. An excellent example of co-creation. I think this is an excellent story that poignantly illustrates many aspects of coherent manifestation. It clearly exemplifies how strong desire alone can attract the circumstances that will facilitate the manifestation of that desire without having to make it happen through action. All you have to do is pay attention to the opportunities that you are manifesting and seize them when they arrive. This story also demonstrates a powerful practice of deliberate creation, framing your desire as a question, something that you should do whenever it is unclear how what you want can come about, which really is the case most of the time, regardless of whether you think so or not. Worrying or fixating on how your desire can or must manifest is a very well-known stumbling block, and one that I've discussed in detail in other lessons. Check the notes section below this story for links to some of those lessons. And last but not least, this story clearly illustrates how synchronicities, those curious coincidences, are the fingerprint of manifestation, and alludes to the importance of looking for and paying very close attention to the synchronicities that are showing up in your life. Because by correlating what's been showing up with what you've been desiring, thinking, saying, etc., you will eventually become utterly convinced that you are creating your reality, absolutely, without exception, and thereby be well on your way to becoming a master deliberate creator. So that's it for this story, guys. If you want to dive deeper into the topics that I alluded to in this story, you can find links to lessons related to those topics in the notes section below this story in the Deliberate Creator Academy. I hope that was helpful. See you in the next story.